Hello and welcome to White Glove Reviews. In this video, I'm continuing my discussion of how it went renting the Llama and Kron. And let me show you what all I rented. Here's what I rented. I rented these cards. I rented the Wood Nymph, Mushroom Seer, Magi of the Forest, Swamp Thing, Kron, and the Llama, of course. I rented a leveled up Sandworm. Well, for bronze, basically a max bronze Sandworm. I leveled up Prismatic Energy, and I also rented a leveled up and actually over leveled for what I can play Gold Oaken Behemoth. And the reason I rented the Oaken Behemoth is after I initially rented Kron and the Llama and played them up to from basically novice up to about 1,000 rating. I wanted to get enough rating to get into silver 3 so I could, finish out my play. And it was remarkably difficult to find any cards that were better than 100 CP per DEC. And the Oaken Behemoth ended up being like 250. And so, although the Oaken Behemoth put me well over at about 50,000 just on its own, and I paid about 250 DEC for it, it got me into silver, and I got into silver 2 just from that, basically. So what I want to do in this video is go over my results. So first of all, let me go over into Peak Monsters, and you can see, if you look right here, this is what all I rented for this. Initially, it was just Kron and the Sacred Llama, and it was about 150. And then I rented the rest of this stuff to get into silver. And you can see this is the big one, the Oaken Behemoth. And I actually didn't use the Oaken Behemoth that much, but it was good for collection power. So I started this whole experiment with 500 DEC, and I'm at 250. And my capture rate's pretty bad right now. So I definitely did not, I didn't actually profit, but because of getting into silver 2, I was able to actually complete 2 daily quests. So I had 3 chests twice, or 6 chests. And if you figure the expected estimated value of the chest, it's about 60 or 70 each. So technically, I should have made a profit off the chest. Maybe if you open 1,000,000 chests, you'll get your expected value of 60 or 70 DEC. I did not. My chests were like mostly common cards and a potion, and I think a 1 DEC or something terrible. So I didn't profit that way. But it was a relatively pleasant way to recover from the end of the league. That's definitely one of the big points that I did come away with, because it's actually like going from being exiled back into novice and then getting back above 1,000 rating was not terribly painful, because I had above an 80% win rate with just the Llama and Kron, and I maybe lost 2 where I was able to play the Earth Splinter. And the other losses were just, bad luck with, I just didn't have the cards. So it was definitely interesting. I think next league, when there's the big reset and our ratings get dropped down, I might try and do something similar to this again. One thing that I can definitely tell you is that the rewards got much better once I was in silver, and once I got like above 1,500 too. So I think a better plan might be accept the fact that you're going to lose money getting back to like 1,500, and then rent to try and make a profit and pay back the expense of getting there when you're already in silver 2. So that's maybe something I'm going to try next time. I did want to share with y'all a couple of battles that I thought were interesting. The first one is a battle with Llama Kron versus a fairly standard water deck. And this, I don't know for sure if this is a bot or not, but it's not an unusual layout for a water team. Lots of magic, and as you can see, it's not a super high. It's like 29 points, so the points aren't too bad. But it's I'm constantly amazed at how good Kron is with Last Stand, because he ends up being in a situation where he heals like 6 points every time he heals, and that's just so much damage for someone for a team to try and get through. And as you can see right here, all the enemy monsters have 10 life, and he's taking them out in 2 hits because he's hitting for 5 a shot, and he's taking just so much abuse and punishment, and just two-shotting every one of them. So I mean, like, he's tough. I can tell you that, having played with the Llama and the Llama Kron combo, I was fairly anti legendary summoner until I started playing with the Llama. And it's made me completely reevaluate my opinion about legendary summoners. I was I was almost 100% you should only play rare summoners because you can never be denied your leveled up summoner. But the Llama is so really, really very good. And here's another example of basically versus a water team. And this is one of those, I saved this battle because it's just kind of an example of raw power on the Earth side of things, because you have the Unicorn Mustang, you have the Oaken Behemoth, and you have Kron, and it's just so much power. And also you have the modifier for it. You have the explosive weaponry, so everything has the blast. I think that's what it's called. Is it called blast? So I mean, that was just a fairly brutal example of a battle. This one kind of surprised me a little bit, and I think this is a good example of how powerful Last Stand actually is, because like the water team is pretty solid, and as you can see, I mean you can watch and see, but like the water team kind of chews through my side of the table pretty quickly. I mean, like my monsters do some damage, but I mean, like they go through them pretty quick. And here, once Kron ends up with the Last Stand, he's basically just he's taking the punishment and one-shotting creatures every time. And yeah, I mean, like I'm genuinely impressed with the Llama Kron combo, and I mean, I was very surprised. Now, the last match I want to show you from this is, I want to show you a battle, and this is a battle where I didn't have enough points to get Kron, so I ended up with the Unicorn Mustang. And the reason I wanted to show you this is it's probably as close to a mirror match as you'd be able to get. And the difference here is there's 4 extra points spent on my summoner versus the 4 points that my opponent spent on a Goblin Thief. And so it's going to be the difference between, it's like, does Last Stand and the extra health balance out having an extra creature? And again, I was kind of surprised about this outcome. It seemed like it'd be one of those things where it would, it looked like it would be worse. But the Unicorn Mustang hitting for 5 was just, I mean, it's a lot. Anyway, so as experiments go, this one is, what is this one? Oh, I had one more battle. Oh, I know what this battle was. One more battle I want to show you. I have labeled in my notes, Sandworm Doing Work. And this is one of those battles where we had Silent Summoners, and there was another one. We had Silent Summoners, well, and something else. And so I saved this one because I wanted to. Oh, Silent Summoner and no legendaries or lost legendaries. So it was kind of the leftovers of what I'd rented for my army. And the reason I thought this was an interesting fight is I think the sandworm kills almost everything. Like the sandworm kills 4 things, I believe, or 5 things. Well, we'll see in a minute. But it was just one of those like the sandworm earned its place in the team. Yeah, the sandworm killed four monsters, and so I think it's a good example of why you almost always want to have access to a sandworm as a potential army member if you can swing it. And sandworm is one of those cards like they're currently like $2. So I mean, like I would just buy one, so you'd have it in your account, and it'd be something you'd never have. Like you can buy a level 1 sandworm and never think about it again. And I mean, like if you're playing in Silver League with a rented deck, your profits for a day should easily buy you a sandworm, if nothing else, and then you just have one. So anyway, this is kind of an overview of my results with this particular experiment. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe later on next league, or maybe later this league, I might try renting while I'm at a high silver rating, and seeing if that's more profitable. Because where I was going from like novice and 80 rating or whatever I had on up to 1500, I technically lost DEC. If the results for the quest chests had been the average expected value, I would have not lost money. I would have been a little bit ahead. But that's kind of like the whole expected value thing is, it's like every booster pack is not a gold legendary card, and that means that for every gold legendary card that's worth $1,000, you have, you know, hundreds and actually probably thousands of chests that are worth practically nothing. So anyway, they're kind of like lotto tickets, but if you open enough, your expected value should flatten out. Anyway, if you have any suggestions or questions, please let me know down in the comments. And if you have any ideas, or if there's anything you'd like me to see or anything you'd like me to test out, you can also let me know down there. I've included links to various useful things related to the game in the comments as well. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I hope y'all have an excellent day.